Welcome along to a brand new series of Man in the Mirror. It's Hayden Williams here. And if this is your first time listening to the Man in the Mirror podcast, it's a show where each week I talk to a male guest or guests about their life, about work, about some of the key products in their morning and evening routine. We discuss self-care, self-image, and what the guest really thinks about the man that looks back at him in the mirror. Welcome back. I had the opportunity, I think about a month, 6 weeks ago now, I was presenting an event at Harrods in London with the fragrance brand Jusbox. People who've listened to the podcast for a while may know that I had Andrea Valdo, the co-founder of Jusbox, on the podcast in one of the early seasons, I think. I'm a big fan of the brand. I was given the opportunity, which I was delighted about, to present their brand new fragrance 54 to the consumers and to the press at Harrods. It's a very special one because the perfumer is Julien Rasquinet, one of the finest and most in-demand perfumers in the world. And they also collaborated with Sebastian Jara. He's the creative director on this project. And so I had the opportunity to talk to them on stage at Harrods. And whilst I was there, I took the opportunity to record this first episode of Man in the Mirror. I mean, if I had such amazing guests and we were hanging out all day, it would be silly of me not to try and record an episode. And I was very grateful that they all agreed. So we ended up having the most guests we've ever had on the show. So 3 guests. And I should say, if anyone was there on the day or has seen anything about it, the co-founder of Jusbox is Chiara Valdo. She was also there. I love her very much. She's brilliant, and she's Andrea's sister. And I felt bad because the format of the show is male guests. So Chiara wasn't involved in the recording, but she was there on the day and is a massive part, of course, of the fragrance and one of the co-founders of the Jusbox brand. So thank you to Chiara, and it was so lovely to see her that day. But yeah, it's a very special episode with Andrea Valdo, the co-founder of Jusbox, Julien Rasquinet, perfumer, and you will know his work with the likes of Frederic Malle, Amouage, Tom Ford, BDK. And I think he's now done 6 fragrances with Jusbox. So he's one of the key collaborators of the brand, and they have such a great relationship. And the other person on the podcast, as I said, is Sebastian Jara, who has over, I think, 280,000 followers on YouTube. He's absolutely one of the OGs, as the young people say. He's been creating fragrance content on YouTube for over 10 years now. I think he started off with a slightly different moniker. The event in August at Harrods was incredible. And honestly, people had flown over from the States to come to Harrods in London to see Sebastian. That's the kind of following he has. And it almost had the feel of a kind of pop band, like a fan event. People were hanging on his every word. It's really interesting, and we'll get into it in the podcast as to what his role was on this project and with the 54 fragrance. And 54 is so named because it's named after Studio 54, which was a really famous club for a short but very iconic and special time in New York in the late 70s. So that's why 54 is called 54, after Studio 54. But Sebastian had the role as creative director on this project, so working very closely with Andrea and Chiara and Julien. And in fact, he came up with the idea and the concept and sort of drove it forward with the brand and with the perfumer. So it's a really interesting role and not one that I'd seen before. So we get into that in the podcast. So you have Sebastian, Julien Rasquinet, one of the most in-demand perfumers in the world, and Andrea Valdo, friend of the podcast, co-founder of Jusbox, a brand that's all about this connection between music and fragrance. So we're all crowded together, recording this podcast across 2 mics in the Harrods store in London. So without further ado, let's get into it. Here we go. Welcome along to Man in the Mirror. It's Hayden here, and it's a very special episode to kick things off in season 8. I'm downstairs in Harrods, and we have some events today with the Jusbox brand, who are launching a Harrods exclusive fragrance called 54. The team, the creative team behind 54, have kindly agreed to come on Man in the Mirror. And so I'd like to introduce and welcome Sebastian Jara, who's also known as a perfume guy, Julien Rasquinet, perfumer, and Andrea Valdo, who's friend of the podcast, who came on in an earlier season. But we're all here today launching the new fragrance 54 with Jusbox. So welcome, everyone.
Hello, everybody.
It's the most people we've ever had on the podcast. There's 3 guests, so it's going to be a slightly different format. But as I said, we're here to celebrate 54. So I wonder if I could ask Andrea, how did the collaboration come about working with Julien and Sebastian on this one? Because it's probably more people than it might normally be on a fragrance.
Yeah, it was a quite weird project because, of course, more people was involved, apart of myself and my sister and the perfumer. That the last launch was Julien. So a few years ago, we met Sebastian and we got along very well. So it was very good relationship with him. So, and especially because we love the most important thing of Jusbox is one is, of course, perfumes, and the second one is music, because Sebastian was working in the industry for many years. So last year when we met during an event in San Francisco, we say, why we don't make something together? We can make kind of a collaboration. So we thought about that a couple of months, and after we proposed him to make a fragrance together, was very happy to do that, and we come up with 54. And for the first time, the concept was not created by us, but was created for somebody else. That, of course, is Sebastian. And I think he came out with a great idea that we loved. And after that, we decided which perfumer we can work. And, of course, the decision went to
Julien, who you've worked with many times before. Okay. If I could bring Sebastian in here. So the idea for 54, which is Studio 54, came from you, right?
Yeah, so when Andrea and Chiara asked me if I'd like to collaborate on this fragrance, on a fragrance, I thought to myself, best thing would be to do something around Studio 54.
And you're a big disco fan.
I'm a music fan in general, mostly electronic and very, danceable music. And I love disco. As a child, I was always dancing to it. So I wanted to do some kind of a collaboration with Studio 54, and this was the best opportunity, combining perfume, which I love, and also, passion for dancing, and then, Studio 54 in general.
Yeah. And I love how, I guess sometimes you can have these kind of conversations with people that you meet at events. Hey, we must do this, and how about that? And just for various reasons, it feels quite hard to actually turn that into something real. But you guys did that. It wasn't just we should do it. It's a tangible thing. It exists. It's now available in Harrods. You must be really proud to have this as a collaboration.
This is very exciting, yeah, especially since it is exclusive to Harrods, and everybody that I've spoke to and my followers and subscribers are all excited for me to be, taking part in this.
Is this the first time you've collaborated on a fragrance?
Correct. Okay. It's the first time, yes. It's not the first fragrance I started working on, because the other one didn't ever finish, but this turned out to be the first.
Yeah. And how have you found that idea of people will know the Perfume guy as one of the original reviewers and has a huge following on YouTube, but known as a reviewer and someone who can be a depth of knowledge, but can be critical about fragrances. Is it a big leap to doing your own thing? How have you found that jump?
Well, I've always wanted to have a brand, but I've always have been nervous, and I wanted to, get my feet wet with something. And when the opportunity came up, I jumped at it. So,
yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And we should bring Julien. We're very fortunate to have Julien Rasquinet, who's one of the most in-demand perfumers in the world. Andrea, why was Julien the right fit, or for both of you, actually? Why do you think?
No, actually, it was the decision we make both. Of course, the last launches, as I say, were made by Julien. So, of course, for us, it was quite natural to involve him, especially the last one, Karaoke Heart, is incredibly successful.
It's done so well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but when we talk with Sebastian, we say we have two opportunities. We don't say the other one because Julien doesn't know. And he really wanted to work with Julien, and because he likes a lot of his style. Of course, Sebastian can explain better. For us, it's easy. It was an easy choice. Probably Sebastian can explain better why he said yes about Julien.
I think just the other perfumer I've known for a long time, and everybody knows about him. I just thought that somebody younger, somebody would be better to, work on a project together. So I just felt like it would be best to go with the other one. I didn't even know that they were launching Karaoke Heart, created by Julien. So it's interesting that came out and became such a success.
Absolutely.
And we started working on this just a little before that was launched. So
for sure.
And it's important to say that with 54, it's not a sort of museum piece. It's not looking at that period in the 70s in isolation. It's very much a modern fragrance, isn't it?
Yeah, this is our challenge, to be inspired by the time, to be inspired by the specific place. So back to the end of 70s, but for sure to get inspiration from there and to create something that was completely new and modern.
Relevant to today's audience. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, look, let's bring Julien in. Thank you so much for being here today. And can you talk a little bit about this process of working with Sebastian and the brand? Does that present more challenges, or is it just another collaborator to work with?
No, I think the things went really smooth. First of all, because I've worked a lot with Jusbox and with Chiara and Andrea Valdo, the founders of Jusbox. So that became quite easier with time. And then I was quite fond of the work of Sebastian. And I believe that we share quite a lot in the tastes that we share. So the process was very smooth also because I think the concept that Sebastian brought was very strong. I mean, if you have the right concept, then everything follows. So the creation is much easier because when we create a fragrance, it's always, first it's an idea, as you say, it's an emotion. And that was really easy to deep dive into the emotion that Sebastian and the brand wanted to create.
But it's such an iconic building and time, isn't it? And Studio 54 was only, in its heyday, was only really in existence for about 3 years before it all changed. But I guess even all of us are a little bit too young to have been clubbing there at the time, but it's remained such an iconic place. And I suppose, that genre of music and the amount of celebrities that were there, even if we can't picture the exact place, it almost creates ideas and stimuli in us, isn't it? So it's a good jumping off point for a fragrance, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that the concept of Studio 54 was great because in our mind, it was a period of great liberty in New York. It was just after the Vietnamese War that there was suddenly impression that everything was doable, everything was possible. And Studio 55 offered that space of liberty, but also that space of mixity. And all that in a fragrance creation was fantastic to translate.
And I think one of the things that you remember about with Studio 54 is this exclusive idea. And, you had Steve Rebell, one of the co-owners, would have been at the front just telling people, you're glamorous, you can come in, you can't come in. And that idea of a place that we all want to try and get into, that's really powerful, isn't it?
Yes, because once you get there,
you're in the club kind of thing.
Then you're part of the club, and what we wanted to recreate here was really the energy of that. That when you're inside, it creates really a feeling of there's the exclusivity of the fragrance, but also we have recreated all the atmosphere of sexiness.
Yeah, it's about a good time, isn't it? There is debauchery and fun and energy in this fragrance. It's definitely a playful, fun fragrance.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
And so the original idea of Sebastian was to play around the patchouli, because maybe I'm talking about that too early?
Oh no, don't worry. No, let's
the
get into it.
original idea of Sebastian was to make a fragrance centered about the patchouli. Yeah. Maybe Sebastian, you want to?
Why was patchouli the starting point for you, Sebastian?
So going to clubs, I always enjoyed discovering other people's fragrances, especially when you're dancing, your body's heating up.
Yeah.
And the fragrance is projecting. And I kind of wanted that experience with the fragrance that we worked on. And I always know that patchouli does create this kind of a situation. It has great projection and sillage. So that was one of the key notes that we wanted to use. It was also a very 70s note. A lot of people were wearing it. So
more associated with that kind of hippie thing, wasn't it?
Hippies, and then just to cover up your BO, I guess. But, and I think that's one of the reasons why people don't like patchouli. But
I love it.
If you smell the stuff in raw form, and Julien just had to smell it, it's an amazing ingredient. And I find it to be one of the best in perfume. So we're basically paying tribute to patchouli here, and
and supported by some other incredible raw materials as well. What else is going on in the fragrance?
So the patchouli that we wanted to create here is extremely boozy and addictive. So so there is a starting note of pina colada, so made of coconut and pineapple. Then there is rum and there is vanilla. So the patchouli here is extremely addictive. Then there are some spicy notes also. There is cinnamon and a bit of saffron. And Sebastian wanted absolutely to have a bit of tobacco in it because he felt that that club in those times was probably smelling like a lot of cigarettes. So
and other things.
Yeah, and many other things. But we introduced a bit of tobacco leaf effect.
Amazing. Look, we're going to return to 54 and talking a bit more about Jusbox after this. But as always on the podcast, and I guess we won't be able to go into as much depth as we sometimes do on the show, but I've asked each of the guests to have a think about some of the products or a product that they enjoy in their morning and evening routines. Sebastian, you mentioned a product that you swear by, and I'd love to find out a bit more about it because it wasn't one I was aware of.
Yeah, so I've been using Roussel Stronghold pomade for my hair, and most people know me wearing a
baseball cap. Yeah.
And a lot of people think I was bald because that's the reason why I wore.
We can confirm he is not. He has a fine head of hair.
No, yeah. So it was always a challenge getting my hair perfect. So I always put a baseball hat on. But now that I've dedicated time to, fixing my hair every morning, I use Roussel Stronghold. It's the best pomade I've found, and it works wonders.
Does it have a fragrance?
Lightly vanillic tonka-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I like.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And you were saying it's from Holland?
It's from Rotterdam.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they even have a barber shop there. So cool. I mean, even my barber uses it. So
really?
Yeah, it's good quality pomade.
You've inspired me though. I want to check this.
Yeah,
this one out.
That's good.
Not for me.
So Andrea, you've kindly been on the show before and you talked about your routines. Is there? So we kind of know some of the things if listeners have heard it before, but what about at the moment? Is there a certain product that you're enjoying?
My routine is very simple. I use the aftershave if I'm shaving, and usually I shave once a week.
Yes.
Just with electrical shaver.
Electrical.
Yeah, exactly. And I use the product that we distribute or we produce because I really love them. I really believe in the quality of the products.
That's right. Because you have there's a whole other range, isn't there, of bath and body products that you do? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Not for Jusbox, but with other brands. Yeah. Usually I use skincare. Linsan Bart is a butter cream, very soft and very natural.
As a moisturizer.
Moisturizer, yes. I'm getting older, so I need some remedy.
You and me both, my friend.
Yeah. And I use the aftershave for Linsan Bart is aloe vera based. It's very cool, very nice, very refreshing. Yes.
Great, thank you. And Julien, what's your relationship with grooming? Because I imagine as a perfumer, you have to be much more careful about fragrance products and what you use.
Yeah, so far I didn't really start using beauty products, but I came to an age you must start to think about it. But no, I don't really have grooming habits. Just a soap and anti-dandruff shampoo, and that's it.
And so, is it important that the soap is non-fragranced?
Yeah, I try to avoid a soap that would be too fragranced, because it's important that the air is not polluted with something else. But I still use fragranced soap. But yeah, I wouldn't want something too strong.
Yeah. Well, look, as always, I'm going to mention some of those products in the program notes, so if people are interested in finding out more, they can do. But if we returning to 54 and this project that you all collaborated on, I'm really interested in how you managed to stay aligned. You know, was there a mood board? You know, how did you get a common language between all of you to stay on track with different points of view? What's the starting point, Andrea? Is there a mood board or something?
For the first time in all our projects, we asked Sebastian to come, of course, with idea, but also with some keywords, idea of fragrances. Keywords was very important. Yeah. So he gave us very important points of that. So they wanted to be something very cool, sexy, and energetic, and something that was describing not only the place, but also the atmosphere we want to recreate with the fragrance. And usually with his work, we usually make a mood board for the perfumer. So we join his keywords with the images and music,
songs, of course, yeah.
Sounds also. Yeah. It was mentioned by us and Sebastian, also some specific documentaries about the Studio 54 or a specific designer that was involved in that. So we really created this kind of document that we always give to the...
And it's multi-sensory and different people are going to respond to different elements of it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and of course, the thing that, of course, it's very good for our project that... the communication was very smooth, and also the taste among ingredients is very similar. So of course we really get on very well on the creation, on development of the fragrance. Yeah.
And when it came to you, Julien, receiving this information, are you a music fan in general? Did it make you put on a playlist? You know, how did you respond to the mood board?
Yeah, so I tend to listen quite a lot of music when I create fragrances. So I have a bit of everything in my playlists. To be honest, I have a pop, rock, folk, disco, rap, everything that makes me want to dance, as you were saying. So,
and can you, when you're working, are you someone that can have music on in the background?
Yeah, I have music in the background. Sometimes just to have my place of solitude, to be alone in my creation. So that creates a kind of wall between me and the people. So that would help me a lot.
Right.
And when I received that brief, I mean, the concept was so clear, so fantastic to me. And I wanted to do that so much because it brought me to a place I would have loved to be. And creating a fragrance is, to me, really about that. It has to be narrative. When you create a fragrance, it has to bring you to a place that will trigger emotions. So that's exactly what Studio 54 is. So they also, Sebastian asked me to watch documentaries and movies. So on Alston and on Studio 54. So that was helping a lot. And I had my own disco playlist.
Great. And Sebastian, I think it'd be great to hear some of the songs, because it's important. We said that, you know, it's not just a historic look at a certain time. That, you know, there's always a Jusbox playlist. What other things would be on a more contemporary kind of dance and disco that you would imagine people listening to when they're wearing 54?
Well, I chose a more underground, modern new disco or disco sound in the playlist. I'm always forgetting the names of the bands.
Oh, no, don't worry.
The acts, but I believe once the product is on Jusbox's website, you can go hear.
There'll be a
music
a playlist.
But there's some classics there. Donna Summer's "I Feel Love" always comes up, and just a big fan of the genre myself.
Yeah.
So I can't get enough of this.
It's funny, as you said, there definitely seems to be a movement of contemporary artists that are taking that energy and fun of disco. And I was thinking, there's DJs like Purple Disco Machine that do a ton of great remixes, and he's DJing all over the world. And bands, there's an Australian band called Parcels that have got that kind of disco funk thing but still, I guess, a bit like the 54 Fragrance. They've taken those key kind of pillars of disco, but made it relevant for a contemporary audience.
I agree.
I think we will put a link to the playlist so that
it's a good playlist.
The playlist, of course, probably we didn't say like straight, but usually we make the playlist, and this time, of course, Sebastian made the most of that. So we just, of course, exchange also like the fragrance. We made an exchange collaborating about this as well. And I think it's already on our Spotify channel.
Oh, is it?
Box Perfumes.
Okay.
Yes, and will be soon in our site as well. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, the final part of the Man in the Mirror podcast, as the name suggests, is, I suppose, a little bit of reflection and thinking about self-image. So I wonder what each of you think when when you're doing your morning, getting ready, and when you look in the mirror. I wonder what you think, and sometimes it can be, as shallow as I feel like I'm really good today, or sometimes it can be a moment for self-reflection and for people to be a bit more analytical. So Sebastian, what do you think now when you look in the mirror? I think we're of a similar vintage, in our 50s. And I don't know, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about what looks back at you?
I wake up and say, "Oh God, I'm getting older, but I still feel great.
But I'm still alive."
Yes, yeah. I mean,
we kind of joke about it, but is it because you're on a YouTube channel and you have to look at yourself? Is appearance? Does it force you to be cognizant of how you look?
Yeah,
because you must. Have to. You're editing and you're watching stuff to get better. You have to look at yourself.
I do have to look at myself. And yes,
I try to avoid it, so I do a podcast.
No, I'm pretty judgmental about everything, so including myself. So I have to make sure I look good, And then there are times that I'm extremely tired, and you can tell. But since I got a channel to run, you just have to go with it.
Got to carry on.
Yeah, but
bit of makeup.
Little makeup. I have dark circles, so
me too.
I do use a little bit of concealer. I'm not sure if I should say that, but I do.
It's a safe space.
To brighten things up. So if anybody has any remedies on dark circles, let me know. I'd love advice on it.
But are you comfortable with how you're looking these days? Would you ever do any? Some people have different approaches to treatments and tweakments and things like that. Would you ever get into any of that?
No. I don't think so. The only thing I need to fix is dark spots on my face from sun. I have a couple of them, and if I can get rid of those, I'm perfectly fine. Maybe lose a couple of pounds. No need.
Julien, how about you? You're a younger man than us.
Oh, no, not much, but for those who know my face, you would know that I completely abandoned the fact of having straight hair. So maybe I should use the same wax as
Sebastian can recommend a wax.
Recommended a few minutes ago. I think I realized also recently how fast life is going. So sorry, that's a bit sad, huh? But I think the last 20 years were just a fraction of the first 20 years. So I would love to lose a few pounds also, and a few maybe a decade. That would be fantastic.
Not sure that's possible. But you're also someone that has to be kind of in the public eye, in that you go to events and lots of people want to meet you. So you have to dress smart. And does it make you think about your appearance?
Not much, to be honest. I have the same clothes. I don't know. I always tend to dress in the same appearance, more or less. It's always blue or a bit more flashy colors. But I don't think much about that.
Right. And Andrea, how about you? How do you feel about your appearance right now?
I'm fine, actually. I find my balance at after 50s.
Yeah.
I think also it's really important what the Romans say, like mens sana in corpore sano. And also if you get fit, if you do your whatever sport you want to, you like.
What do you do sport-wise? You're a cyclist?
No, it's my sister.
Oh, there.
I love playing tennis.
Do you?
And I started a few years ago to do boxing.
Did you?
Yeah, so after that, I really feel very comfortable.
That must be brilliant for you.
Yeah, it's very hard, especially when you start when you are so old.
Yeah.
But I wish I could start it before, but
you're enjoying it?
Yeah, very much, yeah.
I love it. And finally, just to round things off, I wonder, outside of work and outside of the perfume industry, what would be something that makes you happy?
Riding bike.
Yeah.
Really love my motorcycles. I love the object. I really like
How many do you have?
I have two.
Yeah.
One is a British one.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a Triumph.
Ah.
And it's an old one, like 2000 and something.
What's the Italian brand? Moto Guzzi?
Moto Guzzi is the other one, yes. They're all kind of vintage style. I like that. I like, speed, but not too much.
Yeah.
So I just like the idea of riding to be free and the fresh air.
And that's time for yourself, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So you don't have to talk to anybody.
Yeah, can't be on the phone.
Exactly.
How about you, Sebastian? What makes you happy outside of work stuff?
Chilling, seeing movies, listening to music, and walking around.
Sebastian's based on the west coast of America in San Francisco.
San Francisco, California. Yeah.
Are you quite close to the coast where you?
Oh, right on the coast.
Are you?
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. Love the coast.
Yeah. So that's important for you to get out in nature.
Yeah, it is going and just walking and just exploring. There's things in San Francisco that I still don't know about. So walking makes me discover things that I haven't before.
It's a wonderful city.
Yeah.
Julien, outside of work, what brings you happiness?
Really, for me, it's the countryside. I cannot stay a weekend in Paris. I have to go to the countryside. The last 15 years, I've been busy with renovating houses. So I've had a few, and each time the house is finished, I sell it and do another project.
Yeah. So you enjoy that, sort of, working on a house and the practical stuff?
Yeah, I love working on the plans. I never listen to the architects. So I prefer to do my own mistakes, and the architects will tell me it's stupid, but I will still do it. And then
until it falls down.
No,
hopefully not.
That's okay. And then managing the workers, it's not always easy, but I love that. And just being in the countryside, thinking of the organization of the garden. I have more than 350 rose plants.
Wow.
Yeah. They're a bit messy, but they are here. And then I love. I'm the husband of an artist, Julien Rasquinet. So that's also really demanding a lot of time in helping her on a lot of stuff. Sometimes I just rent a truck in the weekends to deliver stuff.
Yeah.
So
a helpful husband.
Yes. Less and less, but yeah.
And you have to travel a lot, don't you?
Yes, I travel quite a lot in the Middle East because to me it's one of the most interesting perfumeries in the world. I fell in love with Arabic perfumery a few years back, and since then it never left. So I continue going very regularly.
Mm-hmm. And they love you and your work in that part of the world.
I hope.
Yeah.
So next time we will make a fragrance with your garden. Yes. With the raw materials of your garden. That's a good idea.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. The team version of Man in the Mirror. Appreciate your time. I'm going to put some links to some of the products you mentioned. And of course, 54, the new Jusbox fragrance from these fine gentlemen, is out now as a Harrods exclusive. And I'll put a link to that too. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My thanks to Andrea, to Julien, and to Sebastian. Such brilliant guests on the first episode of the brand new season. Really fascinating to find out about some of the products they like in their routine, and of course to find out more about the brand new fragrance from Jusbox Perfumes 54, which had a period of exclusivity at Harrods in London, but is now available more widely. If you want to find out about the fragrance and the house in general, you can go to jusboxperfumes.com. That's JUSBOXPERFUMES.com. They're also at Jusbox Perfumes on Instagram. You can find out about the whole range there. Julien Rasquinet is on Instagram at Julien Rasquinet, the one and only Julien Rasquinet, which is JULIENRASQUINET. That's at Julien Rasquinet. And the Perfume Guy is on Instagram at The Perfume Guy, and also on YouTube. And you can swell his numbers over on YouTube and see why he's such a phenomenon over there, and just gives really insightful reviews and content all about fragrance. So huge thanks to all of those guys. I think, what I took from both the conversation at Harrods and also our conversation on the podcast is, there's obviously so much that goes in technically and creatively into a project like this, where there's lots of different moving parts and different people involved. But I think overall, what I took is this idea of collaboration, and it seems, Jusbox and Julien have worked together on 6 different fragrances now, and there's absolutely that relationship and that understanding there. So they have a way of working, and they enjoy each other's company. And similarly with Sebastian coming into the mix, he added something fresh and fitted in beautifully. And I just, being an outsider to that, just seeing how well everyone got on and how much they enjoyed each other's company, it's such a big part of any creative process, is the people part of it, the relationship part of it. So do check out 54 from Jusbox. And if you want to find out more about Man in the Mirror, I'm on Instagram at Man in the Mirror Pod. I'm also on YouTube at Man in the Mirror Pod. I have another Instagram channel called You Smell Great, What Is It? You Smell Great, What Is It? That is slightly more fragrance related, so you can find that one also on Instagram. And there's a handle of the same name on TikTok at You Smell Great, What Is It? I also have a coffee account. If you enjoyed the content, you'll have noticed there's no adverts or commercial messages. So I have a tipping service effectively called coffee.com, and that's where you can tip, which goes towards the running costs basically of the podcast, to my editor and to the services I use to upload onto the various streaming sites. So if you felt able and you enjoyed the content, you can go to ko-fi.com/man in the mirror. That's ko-fi.com/man in the mirror. It's coffee.com, ko-fi.com/man in the mirror. There we go. Commercial messages, all done. And that's me all done for week 1. There'll be 7 more episodes, and I've got some great guests coming up in this season. So I do hope you can stick around and come back and find me next week for another episode. But until then, thank you to Andrea, to Julien, to Sebastian, and thank you to you for listening. And I'll see you next time on Man in the Mirror. Until then, take care.